So a couple weeks ago, I was on a call with one of my subscribers, Landon, and he told me he and his wife had just spent $7,000 on new furniture and decor for their living room, but they were afraid that they'd made a massive mistake because they expected the new stuff, which was all very nice, was going to make their living room feel great, but it just didn't. It still felt basic and unrefined, just like before, and they were concerned that they'd wasted that $7,000 for nothing. So on that call, we mapped out a plan. And the next weekend, Landon and his wife did everything we discussed. And he got back to me the following week and told me they'd transformed their living room from one that made them feel anxious to one that made them feel amazing. And the best part was, they saved over $5,500 in doing it, and I'm going to show you exactly how. But first, there's one big idea I want to get across to you here, which is that most homes are decor heavy because they're design light. Now, that might sound confusing right now, but in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why this one idea explains almost everything that goes wrong when people try to improve their homes. It explains why your place still feels off after your latest shopping spree, and why adding more stuff often makes your home feel worse, not better. But here's what makes this really interesting. This isn't just an interior design thing. It's a universal pattern that starts showing up everywhere once you understand it. And the core principle underneath it all is something I call the law of compensation. And it works like this. When one side of a system is weak, the other side has to be extra strong to compensate for it. And you can spot this in business, in relationships, and just about everywhere else in your life. So let me explain this using an example we can all understand, which is fitness. And specifically, I'm talking about the relationship between diet and exercise. Because we all know that if you eat junk food, your workouts are going to have to be extreme for you to build a nice looking body, right? You've got to punish yourself in the gym, stacking hour-long cardio sessions with back-to-back workouts just to undo the mistakes that you're making in the kitchen. Because if your diet, which is your foundation, is light, your exercise, which is your effort, has to be heavy to compensate. But now flip this on its head. When your diet is strong, which is when you eat whole foods in reasonable quantities, then moderate exercise is more than enough, right? You don't need to be in the gym 90 minutes a day, and you don't need to destroy yourself on Saturdays. Your foundation is heavy, so your effort can be light. Personally, I do a 12-minute workout every 4 days, and that works for me. Obviously, I'm no Mr. Olympia, but I found what works to keep my body in good order, and a big part of the reason it takes so little effort is because I eat well. Because the fix for a bad diet isn't loading up on gym time, it's a better diet. And the same pattern shows up in money. If you've got no budget, no system for saving money, and no investments, then you'd better be earning a lot because hustle is the only thing holding your financial life together. And the moment your income dips, the chaos underneath all that is going to bubble up. But when your financial foundation is strong, with automatic savings, predetermined monthly investments, and controlled spending, your wealth builds quietly in the background without you trying at all. Strong foundation, zero effort. And sleep works the exact same way. Skip it, and you need caffeine and Adderall just to stay semi-functional. But if you get enough sleep, work that used to feel exhausting starts feeling manageable. So those are three completely different domains, but the same underlying principle. When the foundation is light, effort has to be heavy. But when the foundation is heavy, effort can be light. So now let's turn our attention back to interior design. Because in design, your foundation is made up of all the early decisions you make. So that's establishing a clear identity for your home, or what I call your design DNA, having a primary role for each room, the layout and flow of those rooms, and a few others. And then the effort is all your furniture and decor. But what that means is that without those foundational pillars in place, you're forced to go heavy on decor just to make the room feel finished. And generally, that means spending thousands of dollars more on furniture to make up for your weak foundation. But expensive furniture is just the beginning, because realistically, it also means more art on the walls, more plants dotted around the room, and more objects sitting on every surface. So you keep adding more and more stuff, hoping that the next thing will be the one that makes the room finally click. But it never quite does, because your room isn't missing the right throw pillow, it's missing the right foundation. And this is an important distinction because in the same way that a person on a Twinkies and Pepsi diet is never one workout away from a great body, the home that's paid zero attention to its foundation is never one accessory away from feeling finished. So To really dig into why this happens, I want to map this out in a 2x2 matrix. So on the bottom axis, we have your design, which is your foundation, which ranges from light to heavy. And then on the side axis, we have decor, which is your effort, which also ranges from light to heavy. So this creates 4 distinct types of homes. If you have a light foundation and light effort in the bottom left here, you're in the dorm room. That means you haven't made any structural decisions in your space, but you also haven't bought much, so your place feels empty, sterile, and unfinished. If you have a light foundation and heavy effort in the top left, you're dealing with a band-aid. You're spending a fortune on decor, rugs, art, and plants, trying to mask the fact that the structure of your room is weak. So you're working hard and spending a lot of money, but your room still feels chaotic. And this is where the vast majority of people spend their entire lives, and it's probably where you are right now. And I know this because it's where I used to be too. I used to look at a room that wasn't working, and my immediate instinct was to go buy more stuff to try and fix it. But not only was that exhausting, it also didn't work because I was trying to decorate my way out of bad design. Now, if we move to the top right, heavy foundation and heavy effort, that's the museum. And this is a different kind of mistake. You actually have the right foundation and the bones of your room are solid, but you've buried them. And because you're still applying heavy effort to a room that's already strong, the space feels claustrophobic and overstyled. It's like a high-end antique shop where everything is expensive, but you can't move without knocking something over. So that's why I say you've created a museum, not a home, and the decor is now competing with the architecture instead of highlighting it. So while this can look good, there's a much easier way to get what you want. And that's the 4th box in the bottom right. Heavy foundation, light effort. This is the dream home or the holy grail, and because you did the heavy lifting up front, your space doesn't need much else to feel complete. It just breathes and it feels finished with just a few intentional pieces. So if you've already got the dream home, that's amazing and I'm happy for you. Go enjoy your dream life. But if you don't, and most of you won't, how do you get there? Here's what you should do depending on which quadrant you're currently in. If you're in the dorm room, you need clarity before consumption. So do not go shopping yet. The mistake people make here is rushing to fill the void. But instead, you really need to sit down and get clear on your home's design DNA, define the primary role of the room, and sketch out the best possible layout. Because you need to build the skeleton before you try to put clothes on it. If you're working with a museum, you just need some strategic editing. Your home probably already looks good, but it's suffocating. But because your foundation is strong, you can remove 20 to 50% of your decor right now, and your room would actually look better. Your path to a better home also isn't buying more, it's letting the architecture breathe. And for the vast majority of you who are stuck living in a band-aid, your solution isn't a trip to Target either, it's a spending freeze. Because the hardest truth to swallow while living in a band-aid is that you can't buy your way into a well-designed home. So every time you buy a new vase or something else to fix your room, you're just adding more noise. You're trying to put a tuxedo on a mannequin that's missing a leg, and that's never gonna look right. So to get out of a band-aid and move toward a dream home, you have to stop looking at your stuff and start looking at your structure. And that means stripping your room back to its bare essentials and getting crystal clear on those important questions. What's my home's design DNA, and what role does this room play in it? And those may sound like ambiguous questions to answer, but if you've seen some of my other videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and they're actually really easy once you understand the surrounding frameworks. So if you want to learn how to do that, make sure you get on my email list, the link's in the description. Because once you have that heavy foundation, which means clarity on who the home is for, how it's used, and the layout that supports that, you unlock the dream home. You really don't need a lot of decor, just a few well-chosen pieces inside a structure that makes sense. That's it. So I want you to remember this. When most people think about designing a beautiful home, they think they need better taste, but they actually need better structure. Because taste is the eye, but structure is the brain. And ideally you want both, but if you're feeling stuck in your home, you're almost certainly not failing on the taste side, you're failing on the structure side, which means you're design light and decor heavy. But here's what I really want you to hear, because this is the empowering part. If you have clarity over the big decisions, you don't need to develop a genius eye or consume design content for years. You just need that framework that makes the decisions for you. Because with a clear design DNA, you know immediately whether something belongs in your home or doesn't. You don't need to agonize over it or get a second opinion. The framework answers the question for you. And with a clear role for each room, you know what to prioritize. You can walk into a store and ignore 90% of what's there because you already know what you're looking for. Foundation heavy, effort light. And structure does something taste can't do on its own. It creates coherence. It makes the whole greater than the sum of its parts, because to achieve a beautiful home, you actually don't need to be a great designer. You just need to make the right decisions. And decisions are learnable. They're systematic, and they don't require years of experience to develop. They just require that you apply those frameworks effectively. So I know you're the type of person who wants to make your home look and feel better, and you have two options for how to do that. Option one is you keep chasing tips and tricks, trying to outwork a bad foundation. And option two is you fix the foundation once so the rest of your decisions are made for you. Personally, I suggest you take the shortcut. Learn the fundamentals and set yourself up with a strong foundation. That way, you don't need to spend hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars trying to compensate for weak design. Because the easy way to do things is to go foundation heavy, effort light, and get the home you always wanted. Because at the end of the day, your home shouldn't be a source of stress or a project that never ends. It should be the backdrop to an exciting life. Now, to circle back to Landon, after we discussed some of these ideas, he had a couple of realizations. Number one, his living room was getting a little too busy and drifting into the top half of our 2x2 matrix. So he and his wife spent an afternoon removing the stuff they felt they no longer needed, which was about 30% of what was in there. Not a Marie Kondo style purge, but certainly enough to make the room feel lighter. And number two, he noticed the living room had a role conflict. He and his wife wanted the living room to be a place where their family could spend quality time, but it was set up with all the furniture facing the TV. So they rearranged the furniture and moved the TV to another room entirely, and voila, it became the social space they were looking for. But maybe the coolest part of this for me was that once Landon and his wife saw how big of a difference these very small changes made, they realized that all that new furniture wasn't pulling its weight. So they ended up returning most of what they had purchased, and they were able to save over $5,500 in doing so. And now they're happier with their living room than they've been in years. So I think this is a great lesson. If you're design light and decor heavy, spending more money will not solve your problems, because you don't need more things, you need better decisions. So if you're ready to stop putting so much money and effort into your home and start getting something back from it, make sure you're on my email list so I can let you know the next time I open up one-on-one call slots, just like the one I had with Landon. And if you got something out of this video, you're going to want to watch this one next, where I walk you through the exact step-by-step process for building a strong design foundation so your home finally feels finished without you constantly buying more stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.